Hey, what's up, everyone? Morey Croson here, and today we're going to be doing a breakdown on Shuhei Tada, and we're going to start the video right now. This is the newest edition of the Performance Lab.
Reach your individual goals.
We don't want to just talk about straight line speed. We also want to talk about your ability to be quick. We break down your video.
Let's make you into the quarterback I know you can become.
All right, so this is something that I've gotten requested here recently, and everyone really is talking about Shuhei Tada and his start. What looks like to me is, and I don't know for sure, but what I would assume based off of looking at his start is that he is working with Justin Gatlin or Justin Gatlin's coach, just because it's very similar to what Justin Gatlin did in his start, where he had kind of that rounded back position. And there's a lot of things that go into that type of a start. You know, I'm much more of a fan of this type of a start just because I really think that your hip drive ends up being really important when it comes to, or really knee drive, I guess would be the better way to put it, or because of the height of the knee, really it comes from the hip. But what we're looking at is the knee to be able to differentiate or understand what exactly is going on. And so what happens is when you're leaned down like this, it just puts a little bit more of a restriction. I mean, we still see Shuhei is doing a good job of getting that knee up or getting good hip flexion, where if we look to see maybe somebody else here, like here, he's not doing as good of a job of getting his knees up or getting as good a hip flexion, right? But at the end of the day, what ends up being important is how well can we get our legs up to help us accelerate. Yeah, and he really just emphasizes staying down as he's going. So he's really able to build his drive phase, right? So it helps with his kind of acceleration there. The thing with this type of sprint, at least in my opinion, is that it impacts your top speed, right? Because what happens is, you know, your drive phase is supposed to get you set up with to what you're going to be doing in your top end speed. So if you end up going and having that position, now you're going to have much more of a straight down force production curve, where if you can get your leg out in front more, now you're going to be able to create more of a horizontal force production as your foot's striking the ground. So we could see the difference in how their legs are striking the ground. And because of that, I think you have the ability to build a higher top speed. Now, when you're starting, what I do like about being in this position is it really puts an emphasis on the drive phase. And that's why I think that he does a good job of getting out here, is because he's not in a rush to get into his top speed, where we could see here he's a little bit more upright a little sooner. So he's putting in more of a focus of getting to his top end a little bit sooner, which in my experience can end up being a detriment, right? If you get into your top speed position earlier on in the race, then sometimes it's harder to be able to get as high of a top speed, right? Because what will happen is your force production curve will look something like that, where we want to be able to build your speed for longer. So then, and eventually you're going to end up obviously getting to a point where the curve ends up not going upwards anymore. But the longer we can create that force production curve, the better you are in terms of how fast you end up going. So if you get into your top speed too early, then you could end up cutting off what that force production could be into the ground, and therefore impact how fast you can build your speed. So, and what looks weird with his running is just the position that he gets within his spine. When he gets to his top speed, like, this looks normal. It doesn't, if you just watch this, you wouldn't be like, oh yeah, that looks weird. But what stands out is when you watch him run, when you watch his races, at least amongst most of the elite athletes, he's usually getting caught by everybody else, right? He's out in front and getting caught, or in the races where he's not in front, he's behind, he just gets further behind. He never catches, I've never seen a video with him catching people in the last 60 meters of 100, right? He does a good job of getting out, again, because he's really focusing on that drive phase and building speed there. So, and he has good reaction time. See how he's staying low? So that makes it so he's putting that horizontal force into the ground and doing a good job of creating that horizontal force. And then as he gets to his top speed, now he ends up getting caught, because now the force into the ground is, well, he doesn't do a bad job of creating horizontal force, but it's not nearly as great as here, right? So if you do if you stay patient in that drive phase, that will end up, I think, leading to faster top end speeds, which is what you want. Another thing that stood out to me as well here is he's not great with his arms and especially that left arm, right? So as you're coming back, we don't want that elbow to go out to the side, hand too far out to the side, right? I do agree that as you're going back, you do want to have your hand a little bit outside the elbow. And then as you're coming forward, you want the hand inside of the elbow. That's usually something that I'll teach people, especially if they don't know exactly what to do with their hands. The thing is, it's too wide. So now as he's coming through, he's coming too far across there, right? And that's creating this extra external rotation action that's happening within the shoulder and impacting what he could create within that lat, right? Because you need to be able to use your whole oblique chain, your posterior oblique chain. And if you are not getting great extension in the shoulder, that limits the ability to really activate your, again, like your lats, your serratus, the muscles in your back. And you need to have a good, stable scapula position in order to do that. So you can see here, like on the right, he has a good, stable shoulder position, good, stable scapula position, and does a good job of pulling straight back there. Right. And it's common to have one side that's a little bit off than the other. It's actually worse, in my opinion, to be 100% symmetrical when it comes to sprinting. You do want to have one side that is not as much aligned as the other or a little bit off, right? And that makes it so then you could run faster. But if you end up going too far, where you're going too much out to the side here, now it ends up being a detriment because your body has to compensate for your extra movement there. And I think that's just what he's doing with that left arm. He's going too far out to the side, so he's ends up making it so it throws off his balance a little bit with the right leg. The right leg has to end up coming across a little bit more, which is going to impact his ability to really create as much distance per step, which is going to also impact how fast he can end up running. You want to be able to, obviously, like the thing with speed is being able to pick up the most amount of distance per step, trying to be efficient, right? How fast does it take you to go from point A to point B? And so if you're wasting time going across your body instead of each one of your steps going out, then that's going to negatively impact your top end speed. So quick breakdown here on Shuhei Tada. I'm going to go with Shuhei now. I mean, Shuhei. I'm saying Shohei just because of Otani. I'm a big baseball fan as well. So, and it's pretty similar in terms of the spelling, but it could be either way. But yeah, if you guys like the information, go and click that thumbs up down below. Subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, comments, or recommendations, you can leave those down below. The start, again, if you go and look back at Justin Gatlin, it's very, very similar. And I even saw in one of these videos that he raced against Justin Gatlin and they had like kind of a hugged or something like that at the end. So you could tell him and Justin Gatlin have a relationship. I wouldn't be surprised if they train together, work together, or have worked together in some capacity in the past. And that's why, and his start is the way that it is because I think he's been trained to do that. And it's not something that's really totally different. I know it looks a lot different, but just a bigger focus on the drive phase. I think it takes away a little bit from the top end speed. Justin Gatlin did a good job, though, of being able to maintain his top end speed a little bit better. We all have different anatomical positions. We're all built differently. So I think Justin Gatlin was set up a little bit differently within his hips. So him staying in that drive phase, I think, really helped him out when it came to getting to his top speed, where I think with Shuhei, it's not necessarily something that's going to help him long term. So yeah, and if you guys want to go ahead and check out some of the things we have on our website, we do have a speed program. We have a lot of great things that can help you improve your speed, help you improve your mechanics. The big thing is, to me, if you're not reaching the goals, is being able to get very specific on what you need to be doing from a mechanic standpoint to really make it so you can get there. And a lot of times people are just missing one or two things when it comes to their sprint mechanics, and that ends up making a big impact on their ability to run fast. So yeah, again, if you like the information, click that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, check out some of the links below to find out about our speed program, and we'll talk to you soon.